Hi! What's up, everybody? I'm back finally after a pretty lengthy break, and I'm really excited because we're coming back today with a tutorial in The Sims 4. We're going to be doing an A-frame house. A-frame houses are really popular. It's the type of thing you've probably seen 1,000 of when you go to Pinterest to look up inspiration for your Sims 4 builds. It uses a lot of interesting roofing techniques, and I figured that that was something that can be a little bit daunting for some people. So we're going to start with this house today. I'm going to take you through the entire process from start to finish, including a few little side things like terrain tools and, decorations for the house. So we're going to jump into it. The idea being that you can have me open on one screen and your Sims game open on the other. You can build along with me. I'm going to make it really simple and really clear for you exactly what we're doing so that you're not left sitting at your computer wondering, where did I go wrong? Why isn't this working? So without further ado, guys, we're going to jump into The Sims and get started. Excellent. So this is the house that we're going to be building. Isn't it cute? I absolutely love this house. I love it. It really makes me want to play the game as well. So you can see it's quite white and bright. It's got some sort of like wooden elements that are sort of like decorative features. We're going to cover all of that, okay? We're going to make sure that we're covering off all of the basics in terms of how to build this out. I'm not going to show you how to furnish it in this build, but I'll show you how I have furnished it so you can sort of have an idea of what you might create yourself. So this is in camera mode. We can see it from our Sim's perspective. So he's looking up at this house. It looks beautiful, that A-frame house skyline roofline, very beautiful. You can come up the little path at the side here, and then you come in through the front doors. So you can see we've got this cute little sort of sitting area that is open to the sky above. What we've also got here over here is like a little nice gardening area out the front. So maybe your Sims are into gardening. You come in through the front doors. Pretty self-explanatory. We've got our beautiful kitchen, dining room and living room with the stairs that go up to the loft level. And then through this door, we've got a cute little bathroom. Very nice. This is where the bedroom area is. So again, we've got that crazy vaulted roof. All right. On both sides with just our bed. Cool. So that's what we're going to be making. Excellent. So we're going to get into the tutorial now. All I've done is just opened up a really big lot in the same neighborhood so that I can put the original house as our reference just down here at the side. And we're going to build over on the right-hand side. Okay. What you're going to need to do first of all is put in your cheat codes. So do that now. We're going to be using a few different ones so that we can move objects freely around the grid and so that we can access the debug menu. In terms of picking a lot for yourself as to where to build, you just need to make sure that it's at minimum 20 by 20 tiles, but feel free to go bigger if you like. If you want more backyard space, if you want to put a pool in, whatever, you're going to need a bit more space, but 20 by 20 is the minimum size. So you should be ready to go now. And the very first thing that we're going to do is work with the terrain tools. Terrain tools are awesome because they can make your house look so much more realistic, because in reality, all houses in the world aren't built on a completely flat lot. And it also gives us the opportunity to do some stuff that's more interesting in terms of landscaping, like you can see along here. So the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to where we're building our house over here. We're going to turn our grid on by pressing the G key. And we are going to use our terrain tools, which is this little shovel icon. And we're going to then click the shovel. The green on the map that's highlighted shows you where all of the level earth is. So everything that's at the same level is highlighted in that color. What we need to do is raise the level of the terrain. So we're going to get the very first tool, which it automatically defaults to when you open this menu. And we're going to click just somewhere in the middle of where we're building. Just a very soft click. That was just one click of my cursor. So as you can see, this has brought the rest of the earth up a little bit. Now what I'm going to do is click the fourth item in our menu, which is the Flattened terrain tool. When you use this tool, it flattens all of the earth to the area at which you first click, the same height. So we're going to go to the top of where we've just clicked, and we're going to hold it down. And you can see, if I zoom in, see how it's raised our terrain up to that level? That's exactly what we want. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a surface that's large enough for our house to sit on top of. So we're going to click at that level and we're going to drag, and we're just going to make a nice sort of big circle shape. It doesn't need to be perfect. In fact, it's probably better that it is a little bit random and a bit oval. It doesn't have to be perfectly round. And you should be left with something sort of resembling this. The next thing that we're going to want to do is actually create a bit more of a gentle slope from the bottom part of the flat earth up to the top part. If I go over here, you can see that the pathway that I've created for our Sims, if I turn this off, you can see that it raises softly, which means our Sims can walk up it without the use of stairs. So what we're going to do is go back over to our land over here, and we're going to use the smooth terrain tool, which is this circular third icon tool, to create a more gentle slope between this top area and the bottom area. So we're going to make our brush size a bit smaller because it's a bit aggressive at that size. And we're just going to just pull and drag from that top area down to that bottom area. And it's just going to smooth out that terrain for you. A much softer incline, if you will. And that's it. That's our very first step done. We can get on to actually building the house now. So what you're going to do is you're going to click B on your keyboard and it takes you to all of the build tools. We're going to start by building the actual shape of the house itself on top of this flat platform. So if we look at our reference house, we can see that it is 10 tiles by 7 tiles, the main section of the house. And then the bathroom is 2 tiles by 5 tiles. So we're just going to replicate that layout on top of our grid over here. So we're going to get our box wall room tool and we're going to create the bathroom first. So 2 tiles by 5 tiles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Beautiful. So I've got a lot more additional space than I had expected around the house, but that's what happens when you move onto a much bigger lot. Everything seems to expand. So if you want, you could make this house a lot bigger if you are building on a lot like this that has more space. But if you are building on that smaller lot, these are the dimensions that you'll need to follow. So now that we've got our main box shape, we're ready to actually do our roof, okay? And this is where the fun stuff starts. So we're going to put our walls up just to make it a little bit easier for us. And we are going to get into our roof menu. So the roof that we want to select here is the third roof along, the half gabled roof. So whenever you open any of the roofs, it is automatically going to default to 3 by 3 tiles, which is okay because we can resize the shape of our roof. So don't worry about this too much for now. What we do want though is to fill in the roof in these 2 square tiles here. So we click on our half gabled roof, we turn it to face the correct direction, and we make sure that we're putting it right up against where we need it to be. There are a lot of different tools that you can use on the roof that you aren't aware of. I'm not going to go into too many of them at this stage because it can become quite overwhelming. But follow along with me. You'll probably want your grid on to make it a little bit easier. So you're going to grab the outside edge and you are going to bring this in so that it is exactly 2 tiles wide and matches up with the side of the house here. And then we're going to grab the arrow at the back of the house and we're going to bring this in so it equals 1 less space. So we've got a 2 by 2 tile roof. And you can see here that our roof is running into our house, which obviously isn't what we want. We want to create the slope that's going to go all the way up to the top of the ceiling, okay, and create that beautiful A-frame. So what we need to do is adjust the height. So exactly the same way, we're using these bigger arrows and we're going to click on this and we're going to drag it up until it reaches like the exact level of where the roof line is. See how we can see a little bit of wall coming through here? I don't know if you can see that because we're quite zoomed out. But this little piece of wall here means that we're still not quite high enough. So we're going to click back on our piece of roof and we're going to bring it up 1 more notch. Beautiful. The next thing we're going to do is create the piece of roof that sits on top of the next level, the actual A-frame part. And don't worry about all the other corners for now because you only need to work with 1 corner and then you can duplicate those pieces. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up a level. We're going to get the same roof again, okay? And this time we're going to put it right up against that same edge, that same corner, Automatically it defaults to 3 by 3. We know that's not a problem because we can adjust the size. This time we want it to come into the middle. So we want to do 5 tiles across, which is obviously half of 10. And we want to bring in the roof. So it's again only those 1 tile width. Okay? So you should have something that looks like this. You're then going to grab that same upwards or big arrow and you're going to pull it up so it matches the exact incline or slope as the original roof at the bottom. So we're going to grab this piece and we're going to pull it up. And you can see that it creates pretty much a perfect seamless transition like this. So now what we're going to do is we're going to choose whatever roof tiles we want. So we go to our roof tile menu, roof patterns menu. The one that I'm using in our original build is a white corrugated metal sheet. So we're going to do the same here. If you don't have Eco Living, which is the pack that this particular roof comes with, pick any of the other ones that you like from the main base game. If you go to My Own Corrugated Roof, it does have a few additional colors. It doesn't have white, but that's okay. Go with whatever you've got. You can even do a whole different vibe. You don't have to do the same aesthetic as me at all, but I'm just going to keep it the same as in our original reference. So white corrugated metal roof. Okay, so we can see that there's some clipping happening here, which means that we're not completely at the right angle yet. So we're going to grab on this roof again and we're going to bring it up 1 more notch. There we go. Okay, so lucky we did that and changed the roof because it was a lot less obvious before with that other pattern. So you can see here now that that's one perfectly straight piece of roof. So what we can do is we can copy these pieces and put them around the rest of the corners of our house. So we're going to start with the base pieces first. So you're going to click on this piece of roof, okay? And then you can see these 2 square buttons. So these 2 squares over the top of one another is the duplicate button. So if you click on this, it gives you the exact same piece that you already had originally, and you can go ahead and put it on the other side of your house. We can duplicate it again. And this time we're going to need to turn it around so it's facing the right way. And you can use the 2 sort of like pointy bracket keys, I'll put them up on the screen, to do the turning of your objects. And you can place that into position. Okay, again, final corner, copy and paste. The same with our actual A-frame part of the roof. You're going to click on him. You're going to duplicate him, put him where he needs to go, turn him around, snap into position, and the same with this guy. Now, you can see that we've got these 2 sort of like crazy little overlap pieces. That's okay because we can get rid of those using a different part of the tool. So if we click on our piece of roof, you'll notice these other arrows. So these arrows are sort of the roof itself, like the roof material. The walls of the roof are what you control with the other arrows, but this is the actual piece of roof sheeting itself, which you have control over with these sort of smaller arrows at the side. What this means is we can reduce the height of the house, the height of the roof, see, by pulling it down on either side. Beautiful. And then you might want to keep it like that with a bit of a half gable, sort of one side's a little bit longer. If you want to go for something a bit funky, you can totally do that. And otherwise, we're just going to bring ours down like this. Now, what you'll notice is that it reduces the height at both ends when you do this. So if I'll just go back for you. See how it's increasing at both the top and the bottom end of the roof? Okay, if I adjust it, if I want to avoid that happening for whatever reason, you might be doing a bit of a different design here. What you can do is you can just adjust the top piece by holding Shift and then clicking on that corner, okay? Similarly, if I want to just adjust the bottom piece, you choose the bottom corner, hold down Shift, and it only adjusts that bottom piece for you, okay? Okay, so we've got this whole section in the middle of the house that doesn't have a roof now. And you'll notice on our reference image that I've chosen to go with a glass roof. And the reason that I've done this is that obviously it lets in a whole bunch more natural light. It looks aesthetically pleasing, but also when you create roofs like this, you get like a double windowed wall situation. So you'll see I've had to create windows within two sides of the wall just so you get extra natural light in. So if I don't use glass in this section, it's going to be really dark inside and you're going to need to use a lot of indoor lighting. You don't have to do this section by any means as glass, but I just prefer to do it that way. You're going to go to the side that doesn't have anything at the side of it. And what we're going to do is first fill in this section here. Okay, and the way we're going to do that is similar to how we just adjusted the top of the roof. You're going to click one of the side pieces. You're going to grab the side piece of roof and you are going to hold down the shift key and bring the middle piece over until it fills that section. Okay, so we've still got this piece is a little bit too long. If I go to this side, you can see that it comes up higher than the wall itself. This isn't a problem. If you want to leave it, you can, but just to make it a little bit cleaner, a little bit crisper, what I'm going to do is the same process again of dragging that roof shape, but this time I'm going to make it shorter from the top. So grabbing this corner here, this arrow piece, I'm going to hold the shift key first. I'm going to click it and I'm going to pull it down one tile. Okay, so we've got a nice clean level where the roof finishes. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our roof menu, and this time, because this is one whole piece of roof in the middle here, we're going to choose the first roof, the gabled roof in this selection. So we're going to pop it in so that we've got it facing the same direction as our other roof. So we're going to make it the right amount of tiles to fit the space that we have. Okay, now again, it's not the correct height. If you wanted this to be a little bit different and a little bit funky, you don't have to line it up. Again, you can just leave it the way that it is and have two bigger pieces on the outside, and we'll just put the glass in just to show you what that might look like. Okay, so you've got a bit more of an interesting situation happening here. But what we want to do is we want to create the illusion that this is all one piece of roof. So you're going to click on him. You're going to use the same process that we've just learned. You're going to drag this roof up until it matches the same size and the same height as the rest of the house. Now, if you're getting this clipping here, we can avoid that by adjusting, again, the height at the bottom of the house. So you're going to click on this bottom arrow with the shift button held, and you're going to make it a piece shorter, okay? Gets rid of that horrible clipping. And we're going to do that on this side as well. Beautiful. Look at that. Looks so good. Excellent. So what we're going to do now is we're going to create the actual landing that is on the inside of the roof on the second story. So what you're going to need to do is put your walls down, and you'll see that we haven't actually got a roof happening in here yet. Okay. We need to put that in. So what we're going to do is go to the build menu again. We're going to grab a flat square. Make sure that we're clicking it on that second story, okay? And that we're pulling it across. And you can make this as far out as you like. You can make this section as big as you like. I believe that I had 7 across with a 3 wide gap. Now, because we did shorten the length of our roof on the side, what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to create a bit of a wall just along the edge there. So we're going to put our walls down. We're going to get our half wall section open. We're going to choose a tiny half wall, and we're just going to bring that across. In fact, we're going to get the even smaller one, the barely there half wall, the very first one in the list. Now this will create a bit of a jut out at the side. That's okay. I think it's more important that it looks sort of finished from the inside than having that weird clipping gap. So then we're going to turn this white. We're just going to go to half wall trims, and we're going to choose whatever one you want in the color white. Okay. It then becomes a bit more of a decorative piece as well. Alrighty, so the next thing that we're going to make is this little alfresco outdoor area, the roof that hangs over the top, as well as this sort of decorative side stuff, side paneling, I guess, wooden paneling. We're also going to deck out the side of the bathroom and the roof of the bathroom as well. So heading back over to our original build, So the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to ensure that the alfresco area right out the front of our house is completely flat. So we're going to use our terrain tools again for this. We're going to take all our walls down. We're going to go to this bottom level with our grid turned on. And you can see, because we've smoothed out the terrain here on the side, that we've probably made a bit of a warped slope up at the top here where we need it to be flat. So to fix that, we're going to go back into our terrain menu. We're going to click on the shovel icon again, terrain manipulation. And again, we can see where it's not flat because it's not highlighted. So we're going to get our flatten terrain tool item again, the fourth icon along. We're going to click where it is flat on the sort of right hand side here. And we're going to click and drag across so that the front area of our house is nice and flat. Just like that. Nice and simple, okay? Then if we get out of that tool, we can see that we've got a bit more of a gentle slope sort of happening still, but at least up near the house, we know it's nice and flat. So what we're going to do is now we're going to go back into our build menu, put our walls up again, and we're going to create 2 pieces of wall on either side. So we're going to come 4 out from the house, 4 tiles out. We're going to do 1, 2. Just a corner piece like this, okay? And we're going to do the same on the other side. 1, 2. You're going to make sure that these are nice and centered in terms of where the wall is sitting, because this house is so symmetrical and everything will look a bit off if you're not right in the middle. So right in the middle of our house is where these 2 pieces are going to go. Then if we go up a floor and put our walls down, what we want to do is create a piece of floor, I suppose, that pulls out to this level. So we're going to click at the side of the house, okay? So we're going to take our flat square, we're going to bring it up so it's at the right level upstairs. You can see there with the green outline. We're going to click, and we're going to drag this square out until it reaches where our 2 pieces of the wall are, okay? So now we're going to add a platform on top of that. 1 level of platform using the platform tool, which is this one here. The reason we do this is that we can get a lot of nice trims for the outside of platforms, and this way it gives us a bit of a difference to our normal roof texture, gives it a bit of elevation, makes it look a little bit more fancy, in my opinion. While we're at it, we've added this platform here. We're also going to add a platform to this roof here on top of the bathroom, okay? Just like so. Now, I know we've just put platforms in, but we now need to get rid of some platforms in the middle of this roof here. So coming 1 tile in, you're going to hold down the control button, which is sort of like the bulldozing button, if you will. And if I drag out and remove this center section, sort of like I'm cutting out a hole from right in the middle of this piece, it's yellow. And when it's yellow, it means you're getting rid of it. So we're going to click and drag, and we're going to remove those middle 8 squares, okay? So now we're going to fill the hole that we've just made with glass roof paneling. So this does come with Island Living, so if you don't have it, you won't be able to do this. You can just leave it as a blank space, or you can leave it with no space at all before we even remove that. Hang maybe a pendant from it above the table we're going to put underneath, whatever you want. There is no right or wrong answer. But for those that do have Island Living, you can just search for crystal and it will pop up. It's called the Crystal Clear window. I guess it's like a floor so that you can see through to the fish that are swimming through underneath your villa usually, but I like using them as skylights. So I'm going to place them. Now this is a good example of what can go wrong. So see how one has clipped to the height of the platform above? We don't want that. We want it to clip underneath. Okay, the reason is that if you're in live mode, it creates really weird, like glitchy, like transparent holes that you can't really see through. It's harder to explain without showing you, but what we want to make sure is see how it can clip at the top or it can clip at the bottom of that platform. You want to make sure it's at the bottom. Okay, we can turn our grid off now, and this is what it looks like. Very nice. I'm just going to change this to white, Beautiful. Now we get up to the actual wood slats that go on the side here. So this is in our decorations menu. So if we go to decorations, wall decorations, and go down a bit, it's called lines in the wall. It does come with, what's it called? Eco Living. If you don't have Eco Living, you can leave it just as solid pieces of wall and just cover it with any tile that you like or any sort of wall covering that you like. We're going to place a piece on the outside of the wall at the front. And you're going to put them on the sides as well. While we're at it, we're also going to clad the outside of this section as well. In those pieces of wood. Now, for those that so desire, you can actually delete the wall underneath these coverings. This is why the move objects cheat is really important to have turned on, because if you don't, it will also delete whatever is attached to the wall. So make sure you've got that cheat turned on. You're going to make sure it's the wall that you're highlighting with your sledgehammer tool, which you can access by clicking K on your keyboard. And you are going to delete those two walls. Okay, so it's sort of supported by those slats. Very pretty. But we've got this sort of ugly gap in the middle at the very, very corner, and that's where we're going to use some columns just to make it look a little bit nicer. So if we go back into our build menu and we open our columns menu, I'm choosing the experienced pillar, which comes with Get Together, but again, you can choose any pillar that you like that works with your game. And I'm just going to pop a couple of a little, I can't even speak. I'm going to pop a couple of white ones on the corners. And I'm also going to pop some white ones on the corners around the bathroom as well. I think columns are really nice. They give a sense of like finish to the house and makes it look a little bit more, well done, if you will. I'm also going to pop these columns at the back here where the platform meets the wall on both sides. Okay, beautiful. So now that I've gone up a story and I can see the rest of my roof, I also want to continue the look of this column going up to reach the roof line. So I'm going to click another one and I'm going to put it on that top story there. I don't know if you could see that very well. It's in there though. And we're going to do the same on the other side, just like that. Gorgeous. We're all about symmetry with these A-frame houses. That's what it's all about. So next we're going to put in our front door because it's going to make things, again, a bit more symmetrical, a little bit easier for us to see what's going on. I like using the sliding doors that help to bring in a lot of glass. They do come with Eco Living. You can choose any door you like again. I'm not going to have to keep saying that. You know I'm going to use stuff from expansion packs. I do apologize if you don't have those. I also haven't got any windows in our house yet, so we're going to do that now. Go to our windows menu and we're going to get, again, the Eco Living windows. If you don't have the Eco Living pack, you should definitely get it if you're really into building. So I'm going to get this one here and I'm going to go to the back of my house and I'm going to fill the entire back wall to let in heaps of natural light. Very nice. And I'm also going to put one against the bathroom here, which I know you think might seem a bit weird, but because we've got, I'll put it on the other side. Because we've got this timber slatting, it creates a bit more privacy for the Sims inside. And we'll also make sure that the shower and bath is on the other side so that they're not looking right in at people having a shower naked. Or maybe you're into that, you might be into nudist culture and that's totally cool if that's your vibe. Cool. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create the windows that go on this top floor here that look into our loft area. And you can see if I put my walls down on this level that our roof, because it's only one tile wide, has walls either side of that tile, which means that to create a window, you actually need to do 2 windows on either side of the wall so that your sim can see out. I'm actually going to put my walls up so that I can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to pop 2 windows right next to each other like this. I'm going to turn around the other side and I'm going to pop them in again like this. The reason I'm doing it through the roof like this is because sometimes if you've got the walls down, you can't see the height that you're putting the windows and you want to get them off the floor a little bit. Otherwise, they're a little bit too low. And this way we can also check that they're at the right height. So again, we're going to put our walls up. We're going to go around the back, get perfectly centered with where we're putting them, roll around the other way, and put them in through the window. I know it's a very strange way of doing it, but anyway, cool. And I'm just going to change the color of these windows here to white, just so the ones on the front just look a little bit nicer. And now, because we've got this weird gap in between, I'll put my walls down. We've got this weird gap in between. What I want to do is I want to bring that gap up so they're not looking into this weird like crevice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my build menu. I'm going to get my platform tool and I'm going to create a platform that runs the same width as the one outside here. Okay. And I'm going to just double check that that's not clipping funny. Nope, it looks good. You can already see it's brought that up a little bit. I still want it to come up one higher. Oop. So I'm going to put my walls down and I'm going to put that platform up again, one more level. And you'll notice that in doing so, I get a nice even flow through, okay, in terms of this area. And I also get this little white step, I suppose you'd call it, like a white platform facade that you can see. And I like that because if we go back over to our reference one here, I've put the windows higher here, but so it's got an even bigger platform section you can see. But we like that look. It creates a bit more drama. It creates a bit of a nicer effect, I think. So we like that look very much. We're also going to do the same around this side as well. 1, 2. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we are going to actually get our normal wall tool, because I don't know if you can see this, but if I look in here, you can see a gap to the end of the house and we don't want that. So we're just going to create a wall that closes off that and makes it into a bit of a room. And we're going to do the same here on the other side. Like so, okay? And what else I like about this is that you can actually fill that up with lights, which is what I've done, or you can fill it up with plants. So it's like a cool little indoor planter box thing that your Sims look through to. If in the event that your columns change color, like mine has here, what you can do is you can take that column and you can turn it around. Sometimes when you put it on a wall, when you clip the wall in, it changes the color. I don't know why it does that, but it's just as simple as just rotating that column around to fix that issue. What we're going to do on the back is add a couple of columns here as well, just to continue the look that we created at the front. Very nice. So we're going to do all of the features for the roof next. And what I mean by features are things like solar panels, wind turbines, like the roof actual texture on our flat roof as well. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to grab 2 of these solar panels and I'm going to hold down the Alt key. So I've got free movement here and I'm just going to clip them right underneath this little ledge that we've got on the outside. If you don't have, again, this expansion pack, just skip this bit. I kind of like putting them up against this ledge because it looks like they're almost attached to it as well. It looks a bit more purpose-built. And then if I come around the other side, what I want to do is put a little wind turbine here on this guy and turn it around like this. Cute. I've just realized that our roof is actually a different color. So on our reference house, we've got this roof here, which is heavy metal paneled roof set. And on our house, we've got a slightly different one, but I'm actually going to leave the one we've got on our house already, which is the corrugated metal sheet. You can change it if you like, but I thought I'd point that out. Alrighty, so the next thing we need to do is actually put the roof on these 2 sections here. And what I like to use is this Gravel Delight roof. I think it's really nice. I think it's really quite simple and quite modern. It matches the rest of the house nicely, just as that default sort of beige sandy color. It's really quite nice. And then next we're going to want to change the color of this platform section as well, because at the moment it's very gray and we want it to be a bit more white. So if we click our B menu again and get into our build menu, at the bottom we've got platform trims. So if you click on platform trims, firmament platform, this one here, is the one that it already is, but we've got the grey version, and I want it in white. So if I click on this and hover over, see how it changes it to white? Okay, so I'm going to click that to apply it. It looks beautiful. And then I'm going to click it on this side as well. Very nice. And the only thing that's left to do is to create a bit of a roof trim. So there's two types of roof trim, okay? So you've got, if we're looking over here at our icons, you've got the one that comes directly underneath the roof trim itself. And this is like all the different shapes that you can apply to things like a gabled roof here. So I'm going to click the beveled out one. Actually, no, I'll click the second one because it's the most aggressive, just to show you what it ends up looking like. So if I come across to this side, see how it snaps onto the roof itself and it creates a bit of a look. I actually quite like this. So I'm going to click it, and it creates the roofing, sort of like the outline of the roof, the trim of the roof, which is why it's called that. Okay, I'm going to go around the back and put it on this one too. It's actually really quite nice. I like that one. I didn't choose that one on the other side, but there you go. There's lots of good options in the game. Then the next thing we want to do is choose the roof trim that goes around sort of the flat parts, the sections between the first story and the second story. And that's this trim here. The freezes, I'm probably pronouncing that terribly, and the exterior trims. And we're going to go to the second option, exterior trims. And you've got lots of different options here that range in size and style and what have you. I'm going to go with something very simple, just the first one, high tide exterior trim. I'm going to choose it in white. So we're going to start on the bathroom roof first. And we're going to just click. It automatically does the right size and shape. So we're just going to click. It looks very nice. And then on this side, you'll notice that because we've got two of those crystal clear things in the middle and our platform in the middle is a cutout, it's also clipping on this exterior trim to the middle section as well. And we don't want that. So the way that you can avoid that from happening is you hold down Shift on your keyboard, and then your roof trim comes up in sections. So rather than it doing the whole roof at once, if I don't hold Shift, if I hold Shift, it does it in sections. So this means that you have a lot more control of where you're placing these exterior trims. So I'm going to do one on the front and sides. Okay, but I'm going to avoid that middle section ending up with trim. So that's great. That's exactly what we need. I'm also going to go around the back, and I'm going to put this trim here at the back as well. Okay, see how I can pop it along this back side? So what I'm going to do is hold down Shift again to get it in the center and at the side. And you'll notice I'm not able to put it here, okay? I've got a gap that it just won't clip there. And the reason that that's happening is if I put my walls down, this is not considered a full room, or it's not considered as like a second story because there's no floor there. So to fix that, what we're going to do is we're going to go click our B on our keyboard. We're going to go to the flat square option once again. We're going to turn on our grid, okay? And you're going to feel like you're breaking everything here, but that's okay. We have to break things to fix things, so don't worry about it. You just need to put a piece of flooring, or in our case, a big piece of flat square, in that corner to cover it, okay? So it looks like a hot mess now, all right? If I put my walls up, you'll be like, okay, you've just got a bit that sticks out. So it doesn't actually break much, but what we want to do is just push this in, okay? So walls down again, just on the inside. We want to have this section considered as a piece of room, and it's only going to do that if we put that thing in place. So I've also made this a little bit shorter here accidentally, so just got to bring it out. Put our walls back like we were doing before. If I get this same exterior trim, I can eyedropper that using my keyboard, press the E key, and then I can just click on what I want to copy. And now I can place it in, okay? So again, we want to hold Shift on this one so it doesn't clip around that whole section. Hold Shift, click, and we've just solved that problem. We're going to do the exact same thing around the front of the house, because at the front of the house, you'll notice I can put trimming on this side, okay, which is what we want, but I can't put trimming on this side, which is annoying. So we need to fix that again. So we do the same exact thing, get our square, chuck it in there, It looks like a hot mess. We need to make it smaller. We need to fix all the sections that are having a bit of a moment. There you go. Pretty quick, easy fix. And then, sorry, we go on the inside and do the same thing on the inside. So you need to fix a lot of the squares, which is the annoying thing about the fact that you can't make those things smaller. Maybe you can, and I just don't know how to do that. But anyway, that's what we're doing there. And then we've got the same exact thing here where we get our exterior trim again. Hold down Shift, and we put it the way we like it. And guys, that's like essentially our whole house finished. Okay, there's just a few tiny little things. The first thing we need to do is we need to go inside, and we need to put the second floor. We need to create a wall here so that people aren't just falling straight out of bed. So what we can do is we can get a smaller half wall. I like to get a short half wall and just pull that across there. Okay, so we've created a bit of a void where we can get lots of nice natural light down into the kitchen, like I showed you at the beginning. We're going to want to get that trim that goes on top of the wall so it's nice and white, because this whole house is white. I'm going to turn my grid off. And we're pretty good to go. But the only other thing we need to do is we need to give them stairs so they can get up to the loft level. You can choose stairs or ladders or whatever you want to do. I'm just going to choose some nice sort of beige stairs. I'm going to go downstairs, and you can put stairs wherever you like. They don't have to go where I'm putting them. Anywhere will work. You can literally put them however you like, going up to the top level, but I like to put them against the back wall. I actually think a ladder could be really cool. I think ladders really suit A-frame style builds. So I've just popped it in like that, and you'll notice it's coming to our upstairs area quite nicely. And then I'm just going to want to put another sort of short half wall here just to protect people from falling down the stairs. So I'm just going to do that. A very short half wall is what I'm going for because it's the same height as this back one here. I'm going to copy over my trim, and bing bada boom, all sorted. Now there's just a couple of additional pieces of walling I'm going to do downstairs as well as doors. We need a door into the bathroom, and we need one more wall, which I'm going to do here. So this is a bit random, this piece of wall, but I like to separate, I'll put my walls up. I like to separate my kitchen area from sort of where you walk into the bathroom. And I also like having a spot for my fridge to go. So if I go back over here and show you my reference, it looks like this when it's all finished. I think it just makes for a little bit of a nicer look and feel. And then we're going to put the door into the bathroom. I'm just going to copy that one, bit of a cheap move, and pop it in over here. Okay, so we've got a nice little study nook area for the left, as well as the door into the bathroom and our kitchen, which will be here. And then I'm also going to put in for the stairs. I don't like the handlebars, the railings that come with the stairs. I think they're horrible. They also clip into the wall really weirdly, and I'm just not about it. So a way that I sort of mitigate that is I do the same thing we've done out the front here with this wood paneling, but I do it on the stairs. So I draw a wall, I pop these guys in, and then I delete the wall. Oop, too much wall. Let me just delete this bit. See? And then it's like a nice little sort of modern way to get up the stairs. I'm going to make it nice and white as well, or bright, a little bit brighter. This middle one, I think. There we go. Okay. And then also on the other side of the inside, you'll notice that I've got sort of a wall that separates the kitchen from the dining room. So this is, again, just another little bit of a feature. And what's nice about this is that from the second story, you can see that it clips into sort of the loft above. So I like the idea that it gives the impression that it's providing additional support for the level above. So if we're going to copy that as well, what we'll do is we'll get over the top of it here. We'll put in a wall 3 across. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back downstairs, and I'm going to put these on this side of the wall. Put our walls up. Delete the wall. Same way we've been doing the whole time. Delete that wall, and we've got those nice sort of slat dividers. I did end up putting a half wall here as well. Like this. Okay. In fact, I think I just did a standard one. And then I just put my counters, my kitchen counters on this side. Okay, so kind of makes for a nice little feature. I'm going to make that white. So now all that is left on the inside and on the outside, I suppose, is just the wallpapering and the flooring. You guys can choose whatever you like for this, but in terms of what I chose to go with this beautiful Victorian parquet flooring that comes with, what is it? Whatever the vampires thing is. And I go in this nice sort of wooden, natural wood color. And then in terms of wallpaper, I went super plain. I literally chose to go with Pure Expressions, which is a base game one. It's just pure white. And I did the whole entire house in it, except for, I believe, the bathroom. So I'm literally just going around clicking everything. And our roofs as well. Okay, and so now we have a nice sort of big white house, and what we want to do is just, I made the little jut out bathroom area a bit more of a feature because I put in some, you know, bricks. I think I put in these little bricks here. In fact, it wasn't those bricks, it was these bricks, which were just a little bit more plain and simple. And I also used that on the inside of the bathroom with a nice sort of natural sort of stone to go with it. Okay, so there's our shell. Pretty simple. Now, there's only a few things really left for us to do. We need to do the wraparound landscaping as well as our little front area. In our front area, I decided to do a little... this cute little like mailbox bin area. I kind of think it's nice having those have their own section, especially the bin, because it really bothers me when the bin just has to just sit there and it looks a little bit ugly. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to replicate this little build thing here. Some walls. Okay, so we're going to do a zigzag wall. You're going to go one at the back, one at the side, one at the front, one at the side. Like this, like a little S shape, almost. In fact, we will do an S shape. There you go, a perfect S. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to close off one corner because that gives us a grid above. And then what I have the ability to do is I have the ability to put a platform on top, which is exactly what we want. We're going to delete that front opening and the side opening as well, actually, because that's where our mailbox is going to go. And on the other side, we're going to delete that side as well because that's where our bin's going to go. So we've got a bit of a weird shape. You probably guessed what we're doing here. We're going to take our same vertical lines as before to create sort of the walls of which everything is going to sit in. And then we're going to, I'll put this one here. Then we're going to delete all of the walls. And this guy, there we go. So we've got our little stand-up thing. We're going to put all of the same sort of design features that we had on the original house onto this as well. So the same trims, everything else. We're also going to get a couple of columns in there just to make it seem a little bit more sturdy, I guess. Okay, and now we've got a spot to put in our mailbox. And we've got a spot to put our bin. I'm choosing this bin here because it matches sort of the gravel that's on the roof of our house. So I'm just going to pop him in and face him to the side. And then there you go. We've got this sorted. The only thing we haven't done outside, actually, I'll correct myself from before, we're not quite finished yet. We have to add in our outdoor lighting, which I think is incredibly important. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to lighting and we're going to go to wall lighting. And in wall lighting, the lighting I've used on the other house, I'll show you what it looks like at night. Isn't it pretty? It's so pretty. We've got some really modern sort of features with strip lighting happening, and we've got some roof accent lighting as well. So what we're going to want to do is just replicate this on the other side and hopefully make it look similar like this at nighttime. Okay, so strip lighting, we've got this one here which comes with Spa Day. which I'm going to put in behind all of our columns that are on the face of our building. There you go. We've also got them on the side here of the house and at the back of the house, which is quite nice. So we'll go up again. Beautiful. And then I'm also using these lights, which also come with Spa Day, brushed metal square wall lights. I like to do these at night so I can sort of see where I'm placing them. And I want to place these sort of next to each of the sets of windows and the front door. These are really subtle, these lights. They're really not strong at all, but I think it brings a nice sort of look and feel to the house. Very good. And we'll put them around the back as well. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, so the only roof lights that are left are these flat saucer ones. You can get these ones with base game, terrestrial saucers. I love these as outdoor lights. I think they're super stylish. And I'm just going to pop these on the corners of my roof. I think it just makes for a little bit of a more glamorous look. And one on top of the mailbox area as well. We're finally onto landscaping, guys, which is, you know, arguably, I think, the most important part of building because it makes everything come together and look super nice. The difference, I mean, you can tell immediately between this house, which looks really nice, and this house, which is landscaped, is massive, okay? So don't skimp on landscaping. I personally have the most fun landscaping than with any other part of the build process. I think it's my most rewarding. So what we're going to do is we're going to emulate the exact same plants as what I've done here. And I'm just going to show you a very few quick, simple techniques. If you want a really in-depth tutorial on landscaping, you can watch my park tutorial, which really goes into the nitty-gritty of it. And you can come away from that a landscape master. But for the sake of today, we're going to keep it pretty simple and just do something similar to what you see here. The first thing with landscaping that we're going to do is we're going to use our terrain paint. And terrain paint is awesome because it allows us to create guidelines of everything that we're going to be doing. So the first terrain paint that we're going to use is our pathway, the path from the front of the house to the street and sort of the walkway that our Sims will use to get to and from each area. So what you want to do is you want to get into your terrain paint menu, just go to the show all button so that you can see everything. You're going to choose this one here, cobbled together, and making sure that your brush is on the softest setting. You want to be able to just sort of create a really gentle path. Like I'm barely painting anything there, but you can sort of see, you know, how that might work. And then I might even sort of do some around this bin area. Don't worry if it's a little bit messy. You kind of want it to look as though it's been trodden on, and paths that are made just by people walking on them usually are a little bit messy anyway. So it doesn't need to be perfect. Something really nice and simple like that will do the trick. And then what you're going to do is you're going to choose a sort of sandy texture or a color of dirt. And the best way to decide what color to use is to look at what's sort of around the area. So if I scroll over here, I can see that there's this sort of dirt here, which seems to look like it's a combination of things. Just a bit of, here we go, this one, salted earth is going to be sort of the most similar to this section. It's a bit lighter, but I still think it's going to pull out the right tones that are in the rest of the neighborhood because you don't want to choose something that's, you know, not found in the houses around you. So I'm choosing this color and I'm sort of doing just a really soft overlay right on top of what we've already put down, okay? Just to make it seem a little bit more, you know, intentional, I suppose is a good word. And that's our path done. Literally, that's how easy it is. The next thing we're going to do is create our garden beds, where we want to put our garden beds. So what I like to do is using the same salted earth paint that we've just been using on the top coat of our garden beds, of our path, we're going to create the garden beds. So I like to just paint along the sort of seam where the terrain stretches upwards, so where we sort of see the earth growing up. So this is what I'm doing here. I'm just doing really soft, just enhancing sort of the difference between these two levels. All the way around. There we go. And around the side here as well. Beautiful. So what I'd like to do as well is it's looking quite bright, that sort of, that color there. So I'm going to put some dirt over the top of that. I'm just going to choose Garden Bedlam. And I'm just going to sort of paint that again just over the top as a second layer. And this is just going to be really soft and gentle, and it's going to create the illusion of a proper garden bed that doesn't seem too aggressive and harsh. If you've got the brush softness on the hard setting, you get really aggressive outlines. Sometimes this works really well if you're trying to do a really specific garden bed, like a perfectly square garden bed, for example. But because we're just sort of our garden beds are growing out of the earth and off the sort of shelf that we've created, I think having it be a bit messier is actually more in our best interest here. So I've just done a nice little surrounding. There we go. And we're good to go with plants now, which is pretty good. In terms of plants, you don't want to choose too many. As soon as you get into the realm of like 50 different flowers and 4 different trees and whatever, it looks super fake and unrealistic. So you want to make a selection of between 4 and 6 plants altogether for the entire property. Sometimes you can have a feature tree, which might sort of be the exception to that rule, but generally speaking, you don't need too many different varieties of plants. So what we're going to do is start with our filler plant. And what I mean by filler plant are things like bushes and shrubs that really like block out big sections without much effort. So my favorite filler plant is these low-lying pale yellow flowers. They are incredible. They can really beef out an entire area very quickly. So what you're going to do is you're going to hold down the Alt key and the Shift key, which means that every time you click, you've already got another one selected. And the Alt key also allows us to do free rotation. So you can see that it's rotating around all of the axis on the wheel instead of just at quarter rotations. And so what I'm going to do is just create sort of like, literally look how randomly I'm clicking. You really don't have to agonize over this. I'm just going to go around and I'm going to get some filler plants in there. Nice. So now I've got my filler plant in. It's already looking really good. So the next filler plant I'm going to put in are some of these unkempt shrubs. And I love these because you can really do them at any different size. You can scale up all of your plants using the bracket keys. Up, down, up, down. If I scale this shrub up, it makes a really sort of nice looking tree. So I like to use him almost as a bit of a feature tree in a way. And it sort of ties in with the rest of the surrounds. So I'm going to get a couple of him in, and we're also going to put in some wild grass. Wild grass is another awesome filler, especially for things on a slope, because you can disguise the slope really well with this particular plant. So if I zoom in here, I can put him sort of along the back edge and creep him down towards the front. Okay. And I'm also going to work with scale here. So I'm going to make him smaller in some areas just to make it seem sort of really sporadic where it's popping in and out. See, it's already looking quite, it's already working wonders for us. And then what I'll do is I'll just finish this first little front section with all the different plants, and then I'll just continue wrapping it around the whole outside. I don't need to show you the whole thing. The next thing we're going to do is choose flowers. And what I decided to go with was this sunrose bush. I think it's got beautiful little yellow flowers everywhere. And again, same procedure. We're going to do some big, some large, and we're going to really cluster these ones together where we can in certain sections. Again, scale here is really going to be your friend to make things look nice and realistic. And then the one thing we're missing is rocks as well. So rocks are a really great way to make realism effects. So what we want to do is have some rocks that are a lot bigger than others. This also makes a lot of sense when it's sort of a really like sheer sort of slope like we've got happening here. Because it sort of like holds all of the plants in, so almost like a retaining wall. So we're just going to pop in a few rocks here and there just to make it seem a little bit more realistic. This is how easy it is, guys. It's literally like the easiest part, honestly, is just doing the landscaping, but it makes such a big difference. Okay, like that's already looking great. I might get another one of these guys over here, but a bit smaller because it's looking a little bit barren up there. cute. Maybe get some more flowers in some areas, like up the top here. And now that this sort of section here is done, you can see how it's all working for us. I'm just going to do the rest of the outside very quickly. Okay, so the one thing we're missing sort of from this section is like a nice feature tree. So that's what I think I'm going to pop in here in this little gap. So I'm going to go to trees and I'm going to find something that's similar in the area. So you can see back over in our original build, I used this sort of birchy tree here. And from looking around this area, I think that was a pretty good choice because it's the right sort of color scheme and it blends in well with the surroundings. So I'm going to find something similar to that again, which I believe is this, what is it called? A Ponderosa. I said that so wrong. Ponderosa pine. Okay, and I'm going to pop that in here. And it looks kind of nice up against the house like this. We're just going to make sure it's not clipping into the bathroom. It is a little, so just pulling it out to the point that it's not. And that looks nice. It sort of brings a bit more height, which is really nice. We might do another secondary one of those out the front. Okay, so the other thing that's left for us to really do here is just some outdoor decorations as well as this area here outside the front door. We're going to make this a little bit more interesting looking, and there's a really fantastic item in the debug menu that we can use for this. So because we put our cheats in at the beginning, it gives us access to the debug menu. All you need to do is go to the search bar and search for debug. So the debug menu has all of the objects that are used throughout the Sims game, whether or not they're in the build by library. So things on community lots, the plants that are used in community lots, heaps and heaps and heaps and heaps of stuff objects. It's just a really fantastic resource if you're looking for new materials to build with and to make interesting things with. It's also generally everything in this menu is free. So if you're trying to build a starter home as well, this will keep costs down, especially with landscaping, which can get super expensive. Not that this is a starter home, but just a fun fact for you anyway. And if you scroll down in this menu for quite some time, you will come across some little sort of stepping stone-like things, which are right here, these three. Over in here, I can show you the reference. We're going to create sort of like a stepping stone paved area for our table to go onto. So what we can do is we can go bird's eye view. You don't really need the grid on for this, so I'm not going to bother. And you're just going to, using the Alt key, pop in each of these different shapes, rotating them as necessary, scaling them up and down as necessary to really be able to just fill this whole area out. It doesn't take very long and you really don't have to be very messy, very neat at all. You can just kind of slap stuff on in there and it will end up looking pretty good. I did take a little bit more time and care with the original version that I did. So, you know, depending on how much time you want to spend, you can really agonize over this and you can get it looking super clean and super like joined up together. But just for the sake of showing you guys, I'm just doing a pretty quick, rough version of this here. Cool. And guys, that's it. That's literally all there is to it. The only things left to pop in now are outdoor objects. You should be really proud of yourselves. This is a pretty big build. It's a lot of things to cover, but I hope that you've taken away something from this and I hope it was nice and slow and easy to digest for you. If you have any ideas of what you'd like to see me build next, or if there's anything in particular that I missed in this video that you'd like me to cover off, or any questions you have, please pop them in the comments below. I really love and look forward to getting comments from you. And I read each and every one of them and I try and reply to each and every one of them as well. So without further ado, enjoy sort of these last few shots that I've got for you of the house and it is in use with a sim. And otherwise, happy simming. I'll see you in the next video.